discussion to order, and we can at least get the Pledge of Allegiance done, and then we'll see where we're at. So today is at 4 p.m. What is the day? Thursday, the 28th. We are meeting Operations Committee. It's going to be myself. Experiencing technical difficulties is Mr. Mel Campbell. Tricia Fidrich is out of town, and we also have Chairman Davis Dribbinger joining on this meeting. So let's go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance. And don't make me do it by myself. You guys ready? You want to count? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I appreciate the effort there, Robert. Although we did it more of a round, but that's all right. Okay, where are we is Mel here yet?
I'm sorry, I'm still on the phone with him.
Okay. David, if you have any suggestions.
Talk about the lottery numbers. Anybody have any good ideas?
Just win.
I guess I'll go ahead and let's see. Wendy's on the line with us here.
Yes.
Grissom, Dr. Bruder. Who else do we have? Do you want to introduce everybody else who's on the participants list, Wendy?
Yes, and thank you. I have Jillian Rowland is in my office with me right now for our Zoom meeting. And as you all know, Mr. Grissom, our Director of Protective Services, Robert's here, and we'd like to welcome Ms. Wilson and Mr. Clausen from the county. Thank you so much for being with us. Ms. Geraldine Henderson, she's our Crisis Prevention Coordinator, is on the line with us. So welcome to our guests.
I'm sorry, Wendy, who did you say was on from the county?
Mr. Eric Clausen and Ms. Patty Wilson are here, and they're going to be speaking with us today about their request for putting in a light there at River Ridge Academy.
Okay.
And Ms. Henderson's role is she is the Crisis
Prevention Coordinator. And welcome, Ms. Henderson. We're so happy to have you with us today.
Meanwhile, come on, Mel.
Mel is getting help from technology. So I'm not sure if you want to
Can he
wait for him,
approve can he approve it from the phone?
Give me 1 second, I can call him again and just put him on speakerphone.
Yeah, just for a minute, just so we don't waste everyone's time.
Okay.
This feels back in 2020 when we were all home on COVID.
Yep.
So Robert, you brought up COVID. How are you feeling?
Well, I'm back in the office and feeling fine. I haven't had anything for well over a week, so I'm good. It did not knock me down too badly, but we've non-related to me. We've had at least one other person in our office, and yeah, it seems to last about 4 days, and then you have to sit out another 5 days.
Hey, Mr. Campbell's coming in.
Now. Sorry.
Yay!
Right.
Quick, Mel, unmute. We got to approve the agenda.
Right now, what I need to do.
You got to make a motion to approve the agenda if you are feeling so inclined.
I feel like they should approve. I move that we approve the agenda for today's meeting on July 28th.
All right. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Everybody, unanimous.
Okay.
Molly, do we have any public comments?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so on to item D, the easement. Mr. Audie, you taking the lead on that?
Yes, and I'm actually going to hand it off to our friends at the county. I believe Eric's going to take over. But what I will say is the county is here to request right-of-way near the entrance of River Ridge Academy for the installation of a traffic signal. As far as staff, we would support the issuance of this right-of-way. Actually, it's going to be four, I think it's 4 right-of-ways for 4 little pieces of property to the county for the purpose of the installation of the traffic light. So with that, I'll hand it over to Eric.
Actually, I'm going to come in first,
Oh,
Robert. This is Patty
okay.
Wilson.
Okay.
And I actually have a survey that kind of shows all the properties that I might try and show you, maybe.
I'll stop sharing and you can share afterwards.
Okay. Yeah,
Well,
I'll
actually,
do that.
what Molly is showing was what
Yeah,
you're gonna need.
that's all the documents, but I'm just going to show the properties that are highlighted, so you just kind of
Okay.
have a better idea. Let me put this on. Whoops, wait a second. Not sure if I'm still. Can I share now?
I think
Yes.
so.
Okay. Okay, let's see. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so we are requesting donations associated with the additional right-of-way needed for the intersection at River Ridge Drive, Flat Creek, and Bluffton Parkway. And you do have the documents there. I wanted to make sure, you know, it's not really easement. It's actually just requesting quitclaim deeds. And I have highlighted the Beaufort County School District parcels. You see parcel, it's labeled parcel number 2, parcel number 1, parcel number 3, and parcel number 5. And up in the corner, you can see acreage to be acquired for parcel number 1, 2, 3, and 5. And basically, this is my part of the discussion, and I will let Eric Clausen tell you more about the project, the specifics of it. And if you want to keep this on the screen, or I can just take it off if you like. I just wanted you to be able to see what we were talking about.
You can, go ahead and
Yeah.
you can go
take
ahead.
that off. Yeah. I don't
You want? Okay, I'm
know
gonna.
if this is relevant.
Okay, I'm off. Eric.
Yep. So as Patty was saying, this is for the implementation of a traffic signal, full traffic signal at this intersection. So to implement a traffic signal, there's federal requirements. The manual on uniform traffic control devices talks through what those warrants are. Looking at this intersection, we had one of the traffic engineering firms that we have on call take a look at this. It actually meets the traffic signal warrants coming out of Hampton Lake. So that's part of what's driving this, as well as the fact that Hampton Lake is getting built up considerably with houses, and there's a lot of pedestrians that could potentially use this crossing. So there's the benefit, as well as the added benefit of school, as far as school commencement and dismissal times. The signal would then help safely get folks in and out of the River Ridge School. So basically, what we're going to do, or what we're proposing to do here, is based upon supply chain issues that we're seeing, we want to make sure that we try to get this signal implemented as close to the beginning of the school year as possible. There's a possibility that we could get somebody in here within the next 2 weeks. We're currently working out that process right now, but I want you all to know that initially, to try to get this done, this is not going to be the final product. What we're proposing is to put in a wood pole temporary installation. It will have the features of what the permanent installation is going to look like. It's going to have the signal heads. It's going to have the push buttons to get students across the street, but it's not going to be the final product. We would then come back within 6 to 9 months, or coordinating with Robert at the school to try to figure out when that timeline works best for the school, to do the final actual mast arm, steel pole installation, that more final product of what you would see further down the road at the other Hampton Lake entrance. So basically, in a nutshell, what we're trying to do is, again, for the safety of the students and the traveling public, as well as those folks on the trail, create a safe crossing here, which will also benefit the people living in Hampton Lake, as well as parents dropping off and picking up at the school itself. So that's kind of the bigger picture of what's going on here. And again, with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that y'all may have.
Mel, Mr. Campbell, Mr. Scrivener, do you have any questions? Okay, I just have one. So you're going to have lights at both. There's two entrances to Hampton Lake on Bluffton Parkway, right?
Yes.
And both are going to have lights?
Yeah, the other one already does.
I already got one, yeah.
Yeah, so this one, so if you drive past that intersection, the final installation will look similar to that. Again, we're having to, if we waited on the steel poles, like I said, we would probably be waiting into 2023 before those are available. So we're just, for safety purposes, we're trying to expedite it just as quickly as we possibly can.
That was my question.
Yeah, and just so another piece of information, when this is all said and done, we'll have pedestrian features all the way around the intersection. On the temporary installation, the crossing will be only on the west side of the intersection, and that's due to the crosswalk or the curb ramp installations that we currently have out there. We're going to have to modify that island. There's an island up in the northeast corner that we're going to have to modify to make that pedestrian accessible. So in the meantime, we're holding off on that for the final construction. The crosswalk will be only on the west side of the intersection for that temporary period of time.
And so, I mean, this all sounds great and fine for the school district, but Robert, Mr. Audie, one question for you. On that River Ridge Drive that kind of cuts down in front of the school, do we have any, because I can see the potential of, like with Beaufort High School, that people would kind of cut around the traffic where Bluffton Parkway hits 170. And I'm looking at a map. I'm not real familiar with this area, cutting through the school. Do we ever do anything like speed bumps in front of schools or anything to kind of deter traffic from trying to cut in front of the schools?
Well, at River Ridge, if you know, the road does not connect to Davis Road. So you can't cut from Davis Road down. You'd have to go all the way around to the other Hampton Lake. And we do have speed humps along that road. So I don't have any real concern about a cut through occurring. It'll take them a lot longer to go through the school than any kind of traffic they'd get into.
All right. Anyone else from the school board? Okay, I think that's all the questions.
What's the process next? Or Robert has a motion for the full board or what?
Well, yeah, what I was hoping is that y'all would recommend taking this to the board and then the board would approve it at the next board meeting.
Yeah.
I move that we take this request for easement at River Ridge to the full board.
And it is a request for a right-of-way, just to clarify there.
Right-of-way instead of easement, okay.
Just so you know the difference. The difference is they're going to own a right-of-way. We would own an easement. So
right. We're giving it away.
Yes. And I have no problem with that. For the most part, you're adding on to the road.
I recommend.
I think if your committee recommends approval, we could probably put this on consent.
That's fine with me.
Yes.
Let's put it on consent.
Okay. So move.
Approval of right of way at the entrance to River Ridge Academy. Okay, so second that.
Right of way, Molly.
Yeah.
Right of way.
Yeah.
3 words. There you go.
Yeah, got it there.
Okay. So I'll second that and then call for a vote. Mel?
Yes.
Yes, unanimous. So just make sure that Molly, that you or Robin put it on the consent agenda.
Will do.
Very good. Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Cartledge, are you taking the lead on item E?
Yes, thank you very much. And Mr. Campbell and Ms. Boatwright, I want to thank you very much for granting us this meeting today, because these are documents that we need to take care of before school starts. And present today is Ms. Jerry Henderson, who's the Crisis Prevention Coordinator, Mr. David Grissom, our Director of Protective Services. The document that we've submitted to you for your review and approval is the Model Fire and Safety Program for our Beaufort County School District. And we have been mandated by the South Carolina Department of Education and the South Carolina Fire Marshal's Office to be in compliance with the South Carolina Fire Code. And what we have done with this project is we work closely, and I want to thank them, especially the gentleman from ABM Maintenance, Mr. Ed Miller, Mr. Robert Lukey. As you can see from the document, the fire code is very specific about certain types of inspections that have to be done. Some of these are done on a monthly basis. Other ones are done on an annual basis. And we have attached as an exhibit to our program that we're going to ask you to approve for us from every school that we have in our district. We have got an outline of who is responsible for making the appropriate inspections. We also have a we have a company, Liberty Fire Protection, that helps doing our annual maintenance of fire extinguishers. Of course, they're inspected every month, but everything has to be inspected, and it's keeping our schools safe, even the kitchen hoods and filters. So these are being done. We are already complying with the fire code, but this document here is illustrating how we are in compliance. We work with a number of fire departments because Beaufort County is so large. We have Hilton Head Island, Bluffton, Beaufort, Port Royal. So we've actually met with Mr. Dan Byrne from Burton and reviewed our document with him and gotten some assistance from him and some suggestions. So we've had to list all of our fire departments, who the appropriate contact is. One of the new requirements that we are implementing to be in compliance here is called crowd management. And we are required, when we're in an outdoor gathering of more than 1,000 people, we have to have 4 crowd managers. If we have indoor and we have 250, we will have 1 crowd manager. And then if there are more than 500 in an indoor, we would have 2 crowd managers. Now, the fire departments and the police are also being trained as crowd managers. And today at our athletic convocation, we discussed the crowd manager training. So our athletic directors, assistant directors, and our coaches are all going to be trained in case there is an event where everybody has to leave quickly, how we would handle that. So we just want to be prepared. The other part of this, in addition to all these fire code requirements that we have to comply with, is that we, as you know, we have Mr. Grissom, who is in charge of all of our drills and our lockdowns, and part of our safety program has to address how we have our response plans and programs. And so Roman numeral number 4, which is our response plans and programs, we have updated our administrative regulation, OS 33, safety emergency drills and assessments, to include information regarding our fire drill. We conduct a fire drill within the first 10 days of the beginning of classes. We have monthly fire drills. We have addressed how we deal with our lockdowns, our modified lockdowns, our active shooter drills, our intruder drills, our severe weather earthquake drills. And that OS 33 is attached. We've made that an exhibit so that the State Board of Education, State Department can see that we are in compliance. So we have been all working together to make sure that we are taking care of everything that we need to do. And Mr. Grissom, just briefly, and if Ms. Henderson have any comments they'd like to make, I do want you all to know that this past month they have been to trainings. I Love You Guys training, Ms. Henderson and Mr. Grissom and a group have gone out there. And Mr. Grissom is actually at a safety conference right this week, because it's very important for all of us to work as part of the crisis management team under Ms. Henderson's direction, also with Mr. Grissom, that we're doing everything we know to keep our schools safe. So if either of you have any comments you would like, or if you have any questions for any of us, we're glad to answer them for you.
Mel, do you have questions?
Well, I mean, she went into a lot of other part of the security or crisis management details, but this one is specifically about fire, is it not?
Mr. Campbell, it's for fire, but in addition to that, it also, we have complied with the requirements that have to do with the emergency drills in Roman numeral number 4. That was another part of this program, and we are in compliance with that. And then that OS 33, as I mentioned, has been updated as well. So it's fire and safety. It's both of those things. But you're right, sir. The majority of this document here addresses the fire code and our requirements for that.
Okay. So Roman numeral number 4. We'll go back there, Marty, to Roman numeral number 4.
Yeah, Roman numeral 4 is the response plans and program.
And it's not about this, about everything, including fire or just fire. That was really my question specifically.
Oh, well,
does it deviate from the fire response plan, or I know it's all inclusive in terms of responses, but
right.
This one talk about fire? Yeah, I mean, this is, yeah, I think this, okay. I mean, I'm trying to see whether, I mean, you're over defining it. It all looks like fire to me.
And Ms. Mal, if you go to the next page so we can show, there's evacuation drills there.
There's severe weather.
Lockdown, active shooter. Mm-hmm. And
okay,
then,
so all of that.
Yeah, then keep going on past that.
Okay.
Severe weather and earthquake, yeah.
All right, so it's it's everything.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, and we already got one, you said. What's that one called? On IS, what's that, 33?
Yeah, that's the AR, OS 33.
Yeah, OS 33. And this one.
That's a little discombobulated, it's a little broken up on our agenda, but it's OS 33. And it also kind of incorporates SS 58, right?
And then we'll be talking about that. Well, I could talk about it now if you want me to. That's another administrative regulation that we've been working with Ms. Henderson and with Ms. Henderson and with Mr. Grissom.
Right, but this one is just showing the additional steps to be in compliance with
yes, sir.
Regulations. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm ready to move on from now.
Well, I have a question, Ms. Cartledge. So this new, it sounds like Ms. Henderson's in a new role of crisis prevention coordinator, or is that in addition to her other roles?
She's in a new role. Ms. Henderson, will you please tell the board about this role that you're pursuing? And we're so thankful she's in this position and has already provided so much education and guidance. Maybe tell a little bit about your committee, your team.
Good afternoon, board members and additional participants today. For the last 8 years, I have been the director of school counseling for Beaufort County School District. Over the last year, I have been considering a professional change. And when the new job position for crisis prevention came and was announced, I applied for it and accepted the position. As you all know, crisis prevention also aligns with school counseling. So it is really nothing new that I'm doing. However, the district has identified it, a need for it to specifically have someone lead in providing training, not only to have an active district crisis team, which we do have now, and we meet bi-monthly. The national guidelines states twice a year, but we meet bi-monthly as far as professional development for the crisis team. This summer, we've attended training, as Wendy stated. Dave has attended training. I Love You Guys in reunification training in Colorado. He's at training now. I've gone to Austin, Texas to address the mental health side of crisis prevention, because a lot of things can be prevented if we can identify those issues maybe that students and adults are experiencing early. So we're putting together a comprehensive plan that we can, we as a district can follow and be involved with school level training. I will be meeting with each school crisis team to ensure they have an active team in place and also complying with district policies and procedures.
Well, congratulations on your new role. So this is a new position that has been created in the last year or so.
Yes, and I accepted the new position. It was in March of this year.
Okay. And I guess the only thing is as I was reading through the different forums was to get a sense of sort of the organizational chart, in terms of crisis management. Is Mr. Grissom, because we also have now, I didn't realize that our maintenance contractor had such a big role in some of our crisis management. So I just kind of wanted to understand who reported to whom and who was in charge of what. Is it possible to have the org chart updated at some point?
And actually, we're in the process of updating the emergency management plan, and we intend on publishing that by the end of next week.
Okay. And the ABM maintenance has a fairly large role in this. Sorry, am I getting feedback? Somebody.
Well, Robert can address that. Their role is more with the inspections, with the fire code than it is with they're not.
And that's how we did it in the past. That's not a new role for them.
No.
Mr. Stribinger, your hand's up.
Oh, yes, thank you. Is there a board action on this document?
Oh, yes, sir, Mr. Stribinger. The Department of Education has required that the board approve the models and fire safety program for Beaufort County Schools.
Okay,
so we need to ask a motion to have it approved. Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, and so I think, Wendy, correct me if I'm incorrect, but we've kind of hit on the fire and safety program and the safety emergency drills, OS 33 and SS 58, right? Those are kind of all in one go here. They're all sort of interconnected.
Yep, the SS 58, the crisis plan, that administrative regulation was updated since we now have a crisis prevention coordinator role. So that is an update to that. Yes. And then we also have the role of the crisis management team, and that is added to that administrative regulation.
So I think at this point, Mr. Campbell, what we need is a motion to recommend to the full board approval of the fire and safety program. And then I will just bring up OS 33 and SS 58 in my board report and note the changes to the full board.
Yes, ma'am. And also, Ms. Boatwright, I am attaching the OS 53 as an exhibit that I'm submitting to the State Department.
Okay, and then I would just like to launch my request to see that org chart just for my own, because I feel a little.
Yeah, when it's redone.
He says I'd like to see it all together. So
sure. Okay, sure, that'd be great.
Does that sound right, Mr. Stribinger?
I'm fine.
Ingrid, you're talking about the org chart for the entire district or just this department?
Well, I would definitely want an org chart for the whole district, but this part in particular, I don't have a sense of, the delineation of response.
I just want to make sure I request that is clear. So we're moving that the full board accepts the.
We're recommending approval to the full board of the fire and safety program.
Recommending approval to the full board. So I move that I make a motion that we recommend approval.
Recommend to the board approval.
Recommend to the board approval of the fire and safety
program.
The program as presented by the security department, I guess. I don't know what
the fire and safety program for Beaufort County Schools, Beaufort County School District.
Recommend approval to the full board of the fire and safety program.
Or Beaufort County School District.
Beaufort County School District.
And Molly, if you could just stick the word full in between the and board.
What was that again?
Motion to recommend to the full board.
Full board. Got it.
Okay, I second that. All in favor? Aye. Unanimous? Okay, so what we have left, Ms. Cartledge, is
Yes.
the service animals. And
Yes,
the
ma'am.
suicide-
And yes, so I wanted to share the good news with you that our school district is going to be having a service animal in our school starting with August 15th. And we are very excited and happy about having this student in our school. And as a result of the students' enrollment, we've been reviewing the School Boards Association model policy, but also the American with Disabilities Act, and we've met with the family. I don't know if you all remember this, but last spring when we were meeting at the Hilton Head Library, the student and his mother and the dog came to the library, and we had our initial meeting to talk about what was needed in order to facilitate having the service dog in the school. And the principal and the staff are very supportive. There will be an IEP meeting for the child. I think it's maybe the next week or two. But in any event, we do not discriminate on the basis of disability. We understand that some individuals may have an allergy or may have some concerns. We are going to be doing training next week at the school. We'll be doing training with staff and teachers. We're going to be having signs up on the door to note that a service animal is present. There's special seating arrangement. The dog is very quiet and will be sitting beside the student. And the student's mother has no problem me sharing this with you, but having the service animal has helped this student so much. The student has scored very well on achievement tests by having the presence of this dog. The dog is very calming to the child. Now, we may in the future have more service animals. There are many work or tasks that a service animal can do to help a person with disabilities, from being visually impaired, deaf, helping with seizures even. They can detect that. They can help with communication. It's really incredible. I've been doing a lot of reading about service animals. So what we did was we updated with the ADA, and the student is called the handler, and the student will be responsible for caring for and supervising the service animal. We do not, as a district, we're not obligated to supervise or care for a service animal. The child is very well informed about what his duties and responsibilities are. We've talked about this with the family, and the mother's very well versed in the subject matter. Now, with respect to the public, we've revised our administrative regulation that a service animal can be allowed on our facilities for a person that needs to have a service animal. And we also have updated for service animals for staff and how we would address that. So these administrative regulations have been revised because the Americans with Disabilities Act changed some of the rules, and we wanted to be in compliance with it. So we're really looking forward to having the service animal here. And then the other administrative reg that we have.
Well, let me pause right there for a second,
sure,
Ms. Carla,
sure.
because Mr. Smith has his hand up. Mr.
Oh,
Smith?
okay. I'm sorry. I didn't see that. Excuse me.
No.
That's okay. Okay.
Mr. Smith?
Yes. There you go. No, my question was, in general, was how will we let the parents in that class know that there's a service animal in that classroom? And what about if students throughout the building are allergic to dogs? How will we?
Yes, so that's a really good question. So I met with the principal earlier this week, and the principal will be responsible for communicating with the families, communicating with the staff, and then communicating with the students. And then we'll be doing training about what the expectations are, because one of the things that we need to make sure of is that students will want to pet this dog, because this is a very gentle animal, and we're not allowed to touch a service animal. So we have to talk with them about that and talk with them about the seating arrangements. We need to cover all those bases with them. And then the principal, and I'll be there. And I'm also working with the school psychologist and the school social workers, and then with Dr. White's team, so that everybody's on the same page. And I'd spoken, this is something I should tell you. I'd spoken with Ms. Unruh, the head nurse, and I asked her, have we ever had, while she's worked with the district, is she aware of any time that a child that was in the class had an allergy like to dander and had to be removed? And she told me that so far she has not had that experience at our school district, but there have been like some kids allergic to some environmental factors, but in the event somebody was allergic, we would work out their schedules. We'll be doing all that education for everybody. I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you.
Thank you, and I think that is a good thing to be able to have a service dog to help a student out. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we're letting everyone know, and that we were making sure that we were basically let the parents know that we would make sure that we wouldn't intrude on anyone else's rights in this entirety of doing that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Earl Campbell?
Yes. Do we have how many animals do we have now?
Oh, we don't have, Mr. Campbell, we don't have any service animals.
Don't?
And no, sir. And since I've been working with the district, we haven't had any. So this is our first service animal well, at least in the last 4 years. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I don't have any questions. Are there any other board members who have questions?
Yeah, I have questions. Since this is the first, do we have the AR in place to equitably allow others in, or is it
yes.
Is it a one-by-one vetting situation, or do you have certain parameters that a person would know what they would need to do to get?
No, we welcome. We have a procedure, so with this case, that our present case, the family contacted the school, made the request, and then we move forward from there. So we talk about it in there about admitting, and we can only ask certain things under the American with Disabilities Act, which we're going to comply with the law, which is, the animal is needed because the student or the staff member has a disability in the work or the task. So we also have in here about a complaint process. If anything does come up, Ms. Staten and Ms. Dr. White would handle any inquiries, or questions, or complaint about our policy, our administrative reg. And then if anybody thinks there's been any denial of access, if there's been any discrimination based on disability, then it's coming to me. So, what we did, Mr. Campbell, was we're having a service animal for a student, but we also have revised our administrative regulations for our employees and for the public, so that everyone's welcome.
Yeah,
it's important we welcome people with disabilities to our district. Mm-hmm.
I just want to make sure that welcome means that there is something standard where folks, we're not letting them all in because they say they need a service animal. At the same time, we're not denying equal access under the law. That's,
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Cartledge. And I think there's one more item on the agenda for today. Suicide.
So board members, we are informing you about a new law that went into effect on July 1st of 2020. And this new law requires that in the high schools, in our high schools, everyone is required to wear an ID badge. And we, thanks to our executive directors and Ms. Henderson's help as well, we have made arrangements to comply with this law, which states that on the back of the ID card, we have to state, and if you'll go forward so we can show everybody the language, Molly, we have to provide a number for suicide. It's suicide crisis line right there. As you see, high school identification cards will contain the National Suicide and Crisis Prevention Hotline. And on July 15th, it used to be like a 1-800 number. Now you just dial 988. And the National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI, which Ms. Henderson, thank you for helping us with this, as a national helpline too. And we want to encourage our students to call if they have a need and are discouraged or despondent. They're thinking about taking their lives, that they have a number that they can call. And so we wanted to update that, and the executive directors have already made the arrangements for the ID card. So when this school year starts, this information will be on everybody's ID cards.
And just to clarify, Ms. Bartledge, you said there's a new law. Does the new law require ID badges, or does the new law require ID badges have the suicide information hotline?
Yeah, the new law requires that any school that has that uses ID badges. I've got the language exactly what it says here. It says here that public and private institutions issuing student identification tags must print on either side of the cards the telephone number for National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, as well as another resource. So in our school district, all the high schools are required, and that is they require identification badges, so they're on there. So it doesn't say everyone has to have this information. It's for schools that have identification.
Okay.
It applies to any student identification cards issued for the first time or for replacements to a damaged or lost student identification card. So we'll have those, and they will be on the ID cards when school starts.
Okay.
And we hope this will be helpful to our students.
Thank you. Mr. Stribinger?
Thank you. Is there any reason this wouldn't also apply to middle school? That we could?
And Ms. Henderson, you can address this probably better than me, but we don't, at the present time, we don't have ID cards in middle schools.
Okay.
That is correct. And as you stated, that's for post-secondary schools. If the middle schools if students were issued ID cards, this statement would also have to appear on the backside.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if we did middle school ID cards, we would do this. I'm just thinking, that's just as vulnerable population, I believe, although I don't know the stats. And so if we're going to do this, maybe we should think about doing something for middle school also.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other board members that have a question about this? Okay, I don't see any hands. So we don't need a motion or any action for this. I will just bring this up in my report on Tuesday. And I think that pretty much takes care of the items on this specially called meeting. The only thing is, Mr. Campbell, you and I can talk about this a little bit. Wendy, I have made a list. We have several ARs kind of out there that I know you want to get in front of the board sooner rather than later. So yes. We have two very busy meetings in August for the Operations Committee, one with the Facilities Condition on August 10th, and I believe August 17th, I don't have it right in front of me, with the compensation analysis study from Human Resources. Do we need to do something? I know that it's school resource officers, political activity, you mentioned Title IX.
Title IX, yes, Title IX, and Ms. Swint will be, doing the majority of that, but that's a long administrative reg. I think it's 17 pages long. So that's going to take a while to review that with you, because those the federal regulations have been changed. And so we originally, in August of 2020, had updated all of those administrative regs to be in compliance, and now we're redoing it all again. So that one will take a while to do. I mean, it'll probably take 20 minutes or so.
yeah, here's what I have. I have political activity and school resource officers in Title IX. Then I have updates to the student code of conduct. I have a SS3 assignment of students to schools update.
Yes.
I have the alternative programs and the discipline matrix. So I don't think those should all be on one meeting. What I was wondering is which one are there timelines that we need to get these done before a certain date?
Yes, so Ms. Boatright, the discipline matrix and the student code of conduct, there are 4 matrices. So we have made minor updates to those. We should do those. We should do the matrices, and we should do the Title IX, and we should do the IS-60 alternative programs, because we've made some changes over at Right Choices that we need to inform you about. And then SS3 assignment students to schools. And then those other ones could wait until later.
Okay, so those need to be done in August?
Well, if possible. I know y'all are really busy, but yes, please, if we could.
So Mel, I think probably we're going to need we should probably just do another specially called meeting and do all these ARs separately because.
I agree with you.
Okay, then what I'll do, if it's okay with you, Mel, is I'll get with Robin and we'll find a date sometime in August, and we'll just have a Wendy Cartledge AR focused meeting. Okay. And
I have the team
we'll coordinate with Ms. Swin
and Dr. Skaggs and other members of the team that have helped work on these administrative regulations, and we just appreciate their help so much.
So maybe a little bit more towards the end of August would be okay?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, perfect. The school starts on August 15th. If there's like that discipline matrix is like, that would be really helpful if we could do that. I don't know if you have time.
We can do it on the 10th. It just won't get in front of the full board until the 17th. But
yeah, that's better. That's better than waiting.
Okay. So we will put the discipline matrix on the 10th, and we will then come up with a specially called meeting to address the other ones, because they seem like they're, going to generate some discussion and take some time.
And then that IS-60 alternative programs, we could do that pretty quickly. We just want how we made some changes over at
okay.
Right Choices.
Well,
yeah.
Let's see. Mr. Otting has his hand up.
Okay.
Well, I think you're aware, but there is the Battery Creek SIC is requesting a naming of the gym and the wrestling room. So they have that request out there. I've told them that it would probably be August 10th. If it needs to be another day, let me know. But if we could get that in August 10th, that would be good too.
We can get it in. I'm just thinking we're doing it in front of the clock, right?
Yes. And that's planned to be here at the district office on the 10th.
Okay. So I'm just wondering if we should move it up and start it even earlier. Because if we're not doing it at school, we can start it at 3:30, if that would work with you, Mr. Campbell, as opposed to 4, because I think we were thinking 4
on next Wednesday.
The 10th. No, it's a week. Yeah. Like a week from this Wednesday.
I don't even know if I'm going to be at that meeting.
You won't be at that meeting?
10th is, I'm going to be.
It is the 10th.
Get a cataract surgery on the 9th. So I'll probably be back by then, by the 10th. Anyway.
Yeah, you could just recline in a dark room and listen.
Yeah, okay. I'll be on the road. So I have to go back to Charleston on the 10th. Anyway, okay, I'll go with it. 3 o'clock, you said?
Well, let's say, I'll reach out to Robin 3 or 3:30 so that we can do the gym naming and the discipline matrix. And you said the alternative programs would be just kind of a quick thing.
Yes.
That's okay. We'll add those 2-3 things, and then that'll give us the full hour and a half, hour 45 minutes for the facilities condition assessment. Does that sound okay with you, Robert? Mr. Otting?
I'm good.
Okay. All right. I'll reach out to Robin then, and we'll get those scheduled. And then we'll come up with a specially called meeting to look at Title IX, and we'll knock out the other ARs. And then we should be set for the fall.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So I guess unless there's any other comments or questions from anyone else, we just need a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you.
Adjourn.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you.